Hello everyone, and welcome to the first D4 discussion filmed here at Dimension 4 VR in New Albany, Indiana. I am Peepantz. This is PRhyme, Moderncaveman, and Torch at the end. Again, we're a virtual reality. Some people don't like to say arcade, but we still call ourselves an arcade, not a location-based entertainment facility. But
people don't like to say arcade.
They don't. There's a push to get away from arcade.
Really?
VR lounge is big.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever. We're an arcade. That's what we are.
Keeping it right.
And real quick before I get into it, our drink today is Blanton's. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers. Look at him doing that old school. And so our videos are going to be focused around the arcade setting, and not so much a personal standpoint. We'll probably interject a few of our own experiences and what we do at home, but it's more going to be focused around what we do here and what we see from customers and things that work, things that don't work, etc.
Yep.
So going forward, that'll be us. So Dave, if you want to kind of take it away.
Yeah, so what we are is Dimension 4, as he said. We're a virtual reality arcade. We run the HTC Vive on custom gaming computers. We have 9 room scale stations that run about 70 different games, and that's any number of shooters, zombie shooters, horror games, platforming games, puzzle games, music rhythm games. You can jump in Google Earth and take yourself anywhere in the world. There are more cinematic experiences. We have a little bit of everything from casual to complex. The big crux of what we do is multiplayer, so we do a lot of parties, we do a lot of big groups that come in, and that's really what brings people back and back and back, is that multiplayer experience and the way you can interact in virtual reality that's completely unique from any other gaming experience. We do have one additional bay that is just a green screen mixed reality bay. If you look through our channel, you'll see a lot of videos shot in Beat Saber against that green screen. That gives us our 10th headset, but we focus mostly on the room scale experience more than anything else.
Great. Awesome. And we're going to work on the format of this. This is our first one. If you check out our YouTube channel, our other videos are, like Damon was saying, basically mixed reality, Beat Saber, and we've got some fun ideas coming with that. But this is something we've been wanting to do, just to kind of reach out to other individuals and provide information on what we see works, what we see doesn't, and then just to provide a forum for others to engage as well. So we'll probably change the format of this as we grow and move forward and kind of get feedback. So let's just go on to the next topic, and we're going to kind of touch on what's new in the arcade. So being an arcade, we work off commercial licensing, and that comes available. We utilize Springboard, so shout out to Springboard, but that comes available through them as they, reach out to devs and so on and get that set up. And so we're always on the lookout for what's new and changing our offerings. And so over the past 2 weeks, we've had a couple good ones drop. PRhyme, if you want to talk about Undead Development.
Absolutely. Undead Development is it's a zombie shooter. It's a little twist on the traditional zombie shooter. Instead of just doing like horde-based or campaign mode, it's more in the vein of like a 7 Days to Die, for those of you who are familiar with that from console and or PC. Basically, you have an allotted amount of time. On one level, you get 10 minutes. The first level, actually, it's unlimited time, and then it drops into, it gives you 10 minutes, and some of the other levels. But basically, you have 10 minutes to explore the world, scavenge, find things, and you can break things down for resources, and basically fortify your base, fortify your area. And then once you have your area fortified, the horde starts coming, and it doesn't stop until you die, or I guess I died every time, so I don't know if there's a way to actually beat it or not. But
there's another way out.
Yeah, it is very cool. There's it's building and harvesting resources is an interesting. Doing that in virtual reality is pretty cool. Definitely a change from just the traditional hide and shoot. Being able to fortify and getting creative with your fortifications. One thing I've noticed, pro tip: if you find yourself in the game, if you nail a blade in a doorway at head height instead of trying to barricade the doorway, they just walk right into it and dismember themselves, saving you a lot of headaches. No pun intended. But yeah, definitely check out Undead Development, especially if you're a fan of games like 7 Days to Die or zombie shooters in general.
Awesome. The next one is we got Dick Wild 2, which I don't know if you guys ever played the original Dick Wild at all. Very similar, but they added the co-op. And Dick Wild is a very much an arcade game. The premises, and I forget the story, honestly. That's terrible.
Does it have a story?
It has some kind of a story. But you're, in the simplest form, you're floating down a raft, or floating down a river on a raft, and shooting monsters, fish, frogs, barricades, and it progresses. And it's nice because you get to, you can do it co-op, but also you can choose your path as you're going down and hit these checkpoints. And then also, you upgrade your weapons and so on.
A lot of
but again,
customization options.
oh yeah. Again, very arcadey. It's not like a deep, thought-provoking game, but it's fun. And actually, I thought it was going to be one of those that we're going to put people in and they're going to get sick because of the floating down the raft.
Yeah.
I haven't had any issues with it, and
I haven't seen anyone get sick.
no, and I've seen a few people in it, and yeah, everybody plays it for a while. They seem to like it.
Yeah, and that type of movement normally does not sit well with me, and I haven't had any issues with
Yeah.
it at all. It moves slow enough to where it doesn't really feel unnatural or any disturbing in any way.
Yeah.
But it looks great. Like from a cartoony type of game like that, it looks fantastic and plays very easy, very simple controls, which is something we obviously always like here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
so
easy to pick up and play for sure.
Yeah, you just throw them in and go.
Yeah.
So that's Dick Wild 2.
So the one that I've been pretty excited about for the past couple of weeks is it's called Evasion, which is another co-op game. I would call it a bullet hell shooter. Evasion I would call a bullet hell shooter. It is co-op. There are 4 different character classes, so you can choose based on your play style. There's more of like a tank character. There's more of a surgeon character. And it is pretty easy to pick up and play. There is a tutorial in there I would definitely recommend. But you can be in that game in 10 minutes and have a really good time. And the layer structure is very classic bullet hell. So you'll play through an open level that is pretty linear. One big horde fight, play through, one big horde fight, play through, and then you've got your big boss horde at the end. You can revive each other, you can transfer health to each other, so from a co-op perspective, it's pretty interesting. And it is pretty easy to learn too. There's not a reload mechanism, you can't run out of ammo. You've got an energy weapon, an energy shield, and you just recharge as you go, so when you're not firing, your weapon recharges. And I would say it's pretty intuitive, and it certainly has some of the better production values we've seen. It has really good voice acting. The graphics are incredibly well rendered. So that's definitely a popular one.
Voice acting is some of these, I think, in my opinion, far too often overlooked.
Yeah.
And they definitely nailed it in that one.
Voice acting and character animation. If you have the same enemy animation over and over and over, it breaks the immersion. And I don't see that in that game either.
I mean, it's very much a Halo Destiny style. I mean, it feels very similar, but we still haven't. And I've seen chatter online about this too, and some people argue that it is 4-player, but we've never got 4-player to work. And I think even on Steam it says
we had 3 in yesterday.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, we did have 3 in at one point yesterday, or Saturday evening. But yeah, I saw 3 in successfully this weekend, so I do want to go back and check.
But not
that.
a 4.
Because I have seen talk of it being 4,
Yeah.
And I had never seen more than 2 successful. So I think we do have 4-player support on that now, but I do want to double check.
That would make that game even more cool.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to, because I had a couple guys get in the other night, and the locomotion, I don't know what he picked, but it was like juddery.
Yeah, like a stutter,
locomotion.
like a
Yeah,
stutter step
it's
almost.
terrible.
There are 3 types of locomotion in that game. There's a more traditional smooth motion, where you're using your thumb like a joystick on the thumb pad. That's probably the most accessible in that game, honestly. There is, they call it, I think, blink locomotion. So it's not exactly a teleport. You point where you want to go, you hold the thumb pad down, and it stutter steps you along. So you don't see smooth movement,
Right.
but you don't just blink teleport to a point in space.
I have had people too who have gotten into that, and it has been more comfortable for them to do the stutter step.
It's
And
definitely looks
it
weird
doesn't
watching
look
it
good
from
on
the
game.
outside.
Yeah, it's like something. You think the frame rate's dropping.
Exactly. When you don't have agency over it, it looks really, really weird.
Yeah.
When you do have agency over it, it does. It's kind of like a comfort mode thing. So you don't see that smooth motion. You just have step, 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 step. And the one that's really interesting, they call it jogging mode. So you hold the thumb pad down, and you actually have to jog in place because it watches for up and down movement of the headset.
I didn't know
to
that.
generate. Tony was playing it that way. What is this dude doing? And he's just hopping up and down in the bay in there. And so that's if you want to work out, you can play it on jogging mode. I don't know that I would want to do it that way, but you do have to run in place for that.
He did that for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
45
Small
minutes.
laps
He
of
was
his
in
bay. Like he was never hitting the wall, but he was like running. He was in two. He was running around.
See the curve shoot out every once in a while. But yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah, I haven't played it on that mode yet. That's funny.
So that's Evasion in a nutshell. And then Brandon?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about VR is that it reaches a very broad community. I mean, a lot of people say, like I'm outdoorsy or I don't play video games, that sort of thing. And there's more than just games, there's also experiences. And I think one to definitely highlight would be the Blue. It recently came to commercial availability. So now we have the Blue. You can come check it out. It's an underwater experience, so you go deep below the surface of the ocean, and there's several different experiences within the game. My particular favorite is being able to come face to face with the blue whale.
Absolutely.
It's funny because the scale is so real, you don't expect it. You don't realize how big a blue whale really is. Until
face
you're
to eye.
Right.
face to eye with
Eyes
the
there,
blue whale.
it's like-
The eye is literally as big as you are. And it can be a little intimidating. I've had a lot of people kind of get scared by it, but it's always cool to check out. Not only that, but all the fish. And
Was it
So
the thing
we
where
were
we
at
had
the
yeah.
we were at the Carnegie. We did an event at the Carnegie Museum here in New Albany, and the girl had just come off the plank, and she did the plank about as good as most people do the plank. But I think she did it. She walked out and walked back.
Yeah, we're like, this experience will be a lot less
we're like,
intense
this
for
is
you. A
the
lot really
relaxing.
serene, laid
And
back.
she's like, as soon as the well starts coming, she's like, "Get me out! Get me out! I gotta get out!" It was panic.
Right.
I had that
She was
yesterday.
apparently afraid of whales.
Yeah, I had that yesterday.
Pinocchio.
With the birthday party.
Yeah.
The woman was she was in a horror game that one of her I think her sister had jumped her into. It was not going particularly well, and I suggested the Blue as a more accessible experience. Like, hey, if you want, we can do a whale encounter. Now, mind you, she's playing the Bellows. She's in a pretty intense horror game, and I said, you can do a whale experience. She's like, no. Okay, not the whale.
I'll deal with the
ask about
undead.
that later.
Give me the undead. No fish. Well, cool. Yeah, no, I tell you now, the Blue. I will say, when you go to what is it, the Deep?
The Abyss.
The Abyss.
The Abyss. That is creepy.
Yeah.
Especially at the very end.
I've had several people jump out of that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's one that's you're very, very deep underwater where there's not a lot of light, and you have a flashlight, and then you see the bioluminescent things around you, but it's a totally different environment than seeing all like the bright blue water surrounding you and the brightly colored fish. Very cool. That's always been one of my favorite. Any of the nature documentaries when they do the thing on the deep, that's always my favorite.
You never know what's going to come out.
Right.
Right.
I'd love to do a person in a water tank with like a big globe so we can dunk them. And Nick and I used to talk
Really
about
up that immersion.
Really take it to them. But anyway, that's not real. Sorry. So those are the four of our newest experiences here at D4 and getting some decent play time. A couple other honorable mentions. Battle Wake.
That was
That
fantastic.
released about a month ago. Yeah, it was last month.
Yeah, it was.
And everyone that gets in that loves it. A few people complain, and actually I hear people online complaining about it, which I don't get. But from an arcade standpoint, it's great.
What are their complaints?
Too arcadey, which I get. From a
Perfect.
home, yeah, that's whatever. But the e-braking.
Oh, that was my favorite part of that thing.
I like it too. I think the control in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard.
It doesn't need to be realistic.
Right.
Like it's,
No.
you can. Yeah.
You're a skeleton.
You can
that
control
has,
a
like,
crap.
Yeah. Come on.
They need to
so
do Fury
that's,
Seas if they want
right,
the realism.
that's the other one that I guess the newest that's really got the.
Yeah, that one is really cool, and it's got the free for all mode is like 10-player. So,
Yeah.
So you can do a full-on ship battle in there, which is
And
really cool.
Some people have talked about getting bored in the campaign, but then I've seen other groups like the Skippy and his crew come in, and they, because of the upgrades, like they were excited to see what was next.
Yeah.
And so, but again,
It depends on whether you want to put time into something or not.
Right.
yeah, and you have to.
That's
with
fair.
Yeah.
So next, we're going to move on and kind of highlight. We're going to pick one of our most played games, and this is probably one of the most played from an arcade setting in the world. We're going to talk about Arizona Sunshine, which is one that we all love. I think we've all ran through the campaign on our own and the DLC.
Ooh, the ending on the DLC, no spoilers. It's unexpected.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm really
that
looking
was,
forward to the next one to drop.
Yeah.
It's
It
tough,
really
too.
feels like a setup for the next
Right.
one.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay, that's how it ends. All right. You don't
That was
really get
one,
that triumphant feeling that you do at the
campaign.
beginning of the
Yeah.
end of the campaign.
That was one Nolan and I came in and played through on an off night. That was good. But yeah, so Arizona Sunshine. Let's dive into it. So in Arizona Sunshine, you come to in a cave, and you're a lone survivor, and you hear a radio signal, and you're trying to find people and trying to get out of there and get to the that's in the simplest form. Right. And so I always tell people, and I could be wrong, but at a medium pace, it's about a 6-hour campaign. If you're
Yeah. I've had somebody actually come in and do a 4-hour pull and play the entire campaign.
well, they were awesome.
And they were rocking. Like they stopped for a dinner break. It was a slow night, so I let them break their time up, and they did a 4-hour pull and played the entire campaign.
Yeah.
And
That's
what's
impressive.
cool with that is there's a big story there. It's paced really well. If you watch The Walking Dead, it's got the same kind of feel where there's a lot of like dumb, slow fodder zombies, and every now and then you do something that triggers a big horde that you're probably going to end up playing a couple times because you get absolutely overwhelmed. So one of the unique things there that we really like with it is that it forces you to be careful.
Yeah.
Because you have to ration your ammo. You have to make sure that you're sharing that ammo between yourself and your co-player if you are playing it in co-op. Making sure that you're keeping up with your health, that you're protecting each other from being flanked by a sprinting zombie, that kind of thing. So the feel of getting in there and protecting each other, watching out for each other in a co-op game is really, really cool and much more personal than you get just on a screen.
Absolutely.
And then talking about the duration of it, it takes a lot of people 5 to 6 hours to play through that campaign. Obviously, you're not going to come in here and do that all at once. You don't get save games in there, but there are chapters, so you can pretty much pick up where you left off. You'll have an appropriate loadout for being that far through the game. Gives you an opportunity to collect some ammo right up front, and you just keep moving right along.
They timed those perfect too. Like
Yeah, they did.
for our
Very well
most
paced.
popular hour reservations,
Yeah.
it's very realistic that you're going to get to that next point, and then
You can
time's
generally
up.
get through like 2 chapters in an hour. It
Yeah.
seems like.
unless you're Carl. So yeah, from a single player like that, obviously that's our most played co-op
Yeah.
game, and typically when someone comes in with 2 people, whether it be we have a lot of father-sons or whether it be
Yeah.
a date night, that's always our push. And it is funny that most of the time the females don't want to shoot zombies. That's just
Yeah.
from our experience. When you recommend that, they're like, I don't know if I want to. But we've had several, once they get in, they go and even come back.
Yeah.
Like we had one couple, I think it was you and I here. This was early on in the. They went to dinner and then
Yes.
came back.
Yeah, they
She
came back
wanted
the
to come
same
back
night.
and keep
Oh,
going.
is that right?
Yeah.
And it was
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
she was the one pushing for it. Yeah.
So there's 2 different. There's the campaign and then there's horde mode. And I do want to touch on this, and we talked about it too. So there's 2 versions of Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah.
There's the version like the original OG that we run,
Right.
and there's the arcade version.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I haven't played any of the arcade version. I've read up on it a little bit. My first experience with that was when we had a group come in who had been to another arcade.
Yeah.
And so I guess in the arcade version you have unlimited ammo.
You can turn that on. There are a lot of settings that you can turn on and off, like automatic reloads, unlimited ammo. You can turn on invincibility. You can turn on auto revive, so you can set like a 10-second timer for auto revive. And it keeps you playing faster. It keeps you killing more zombies. But from our experience and what people really like about that game, it breaks the experience.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have to deal with rationing ammo. You just spawn fire until everything's dead. You don't have to deal with the intensity of the reload, the ability to forget the reload. You know, everyone that comes in here and plays it the first time something's trying to eat their face off, they forget how to
Everything,
reload.
yeah.
They panic back up
Right.
into the back of their bay, and then they're dead.
I usually preface that too. I'll explain the whole thing and say, now what's going to happen to zombies when they start coming? You're going to die immediately.
Right.
I'll explain how the reload works again, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, after you die the first couple times, I'll tell you again what I told you before, and you'll listen this time.
Difficulty is any trademark of a good zombie game.
Absolutely.
You can't just have an easy zombie game.
Right.
Yeah, but I've really never seen, like, maybe one or two people in 14 months of operation have gotten through that first wave, gotten wiped out, and gone, ugh, no, this is too much, and they leave the game. Everyone gets through that first one, goes, oh, that was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, and then they really start focusing on trying to protect each other and trying
Right.
to get their headshots and trying to conserve their ammo. And it really starts to click, like this stuff actually matters. So they play it more intensely. I
Right.
think,
It
than
ups
if
the
you
stakes,
give
you
them-
know, and like it makes things things matter. You know, you have to worry about ammo. You have to worry about watching out for
Right.
your partner's back. Yeah, when you guys were first talking about our unlimited ammo and
Yeah.
all that, I just like it. It doesn't even compute with
Right.
that game.
Yeah, you would just be unloading. Like the
Right.
whole time, there would be no point.
No
You
challenge.
wouldn't.
That's
no-
what zombie training simulator is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at Zombie Training Simulator, and you've got unlimited ammo automatically.
Which is great.
It's
Don't
a
get me wrong.
Fantastic game.
Awesome.
But it's a shooting gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You don't see the panic. You don't see the intensity. And granted, it's a single-player game as well, but it's just a shooting gallery, and it is a great intro shooter. But you don't want to take something like Arizona Sunshine that has this big, deep story and this intensity and this feeling of being overwhelmed and turn it into a shooting gallery.
Right.
So, you know, a couple of people, maybe it's not for them, but that's why we have 70 titles. Not
Yeah.
everything is for everyone.
Exactly.
I still love putting people in, and as soon as you get them in, as soon as they get in, it's like they're just shooting in the sky,
Shooting each other.
going through,
Yeah.
going through all of it, and then it starts with like, I don't have any ammo.
You're gonna have a bad time.
All right, we'll wait, see what
The
happens.
first thing I always say is, you've got rounds in your weapon. You got 30 rounds on your belt. That's all the ammo you have, and they just waste it.
Right. You know, you're going
But-
to want to resist the urge to shoot each other in the face because you're going to need that ammo.
I will say, adding so in the past when we started that, we got accustomed to doing the walkthrough.
Yeah.
So we'd put people in, and we'd yell, we'd leave their headphones off, and we would yell and say, you know, look in your right hand, there's a gun. You gotta, here's your and now that Discord is available, that was an awesome move, because then you can just tap in and you don't have to yell at everybody. You still have people listen, some people don't,
Yeah.
but then they die, then they ask, okay,
Yeah,
now
right.
what am I doing here?
Right.
Tell me again how the reload works.
But no, by far our most played co-op game, or most played. I would guess it's probably aside from the rec room, like the paintball sessions. That's probably the most played from a 4-player standpoint.
Yeah,
easily.
definitely. It's the horde mode in 4-player, when you've got everybody posts up on a corner of the tent, or everybody posts up on their platform in the cave. You split up on the levels in the warehouse. Whatever you're doing, you really have a good feel of defending your position. And it definitely gets a lot of 4-player playtime, and people come back and back and back and try to beat, because it's leaderboarded, so you can see where you rank in the world. You can keep track of your wave count. You have people that come back and try to
those
get a little bit
leaderboards
further.
though.
Some of those are a little dubious.
Yeah, I
some of those
don't
are
know.
impossible.
But
a
no,
little
but to your
hacking
point,
there,
yeah. And something we did to other arcades is, you know, we have TVs running images, and so we started doing pictures and doing leaderboards in house. So
Yeah.
people, if they get to what did we say in the beginning? You had to get past 18,
Yeah, I think our first monthly challenge was Wave 18.
and then we throw
Yeah.
your picture up, and then, you know, when people come in, they see their picture up on the wall flashing through the monitors.
Yeah, we had 4-player teams struggling to make Wave 18, and then we had Jeff and Christian that
Blaze through.
just honed it to an art and got to,
Yeah.
I think, Wave 28 was their
Yeah.
record, just the two of them.
They
Impressive.
big shout out to Jeff and Christian if they ever see this. They provided a lot of laughs.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Jeff. So Jeff and Christian are a father-son duo, and they'd come in pretty much every Tuesday
Every Tuesday. Yeah.
and play.
For
And
months.
they were committed to Arizona. They know that in and out. And they like Christian. I mean, Christian. I don't know how old he is, but
Sure.
he
I think
is
he had
a-
his 11th birthday here,
Mhm.
maybe.
I think
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
right.
yeah, he did, didn't he? But hell of a shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and he found the most defensible position in there too.
oh yeah, he
Back up into the crates.
Yeah.
but anytime Jeff would be out, even though they're in separate parts of the arcade and they're talking through he just yells, "Christian, I'm out!" And, oh my gosh, it was so funny. But it was awesome because they
Yeah.
were just in it.
Yeah.
So we loved anytime they come in. We knew it was about to get
Always
loud.
in for a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to them. But then we had early on we had the Lemon Brothers.
Yeah. They
they
set
were
the
our-
original challenge, actually.
Mhm.
They set the 18 wave.
They did. It was them and my wife's cousin as well.
Right.
He was part of that.
Yep.
And so they, I mean, we were here super late. I know one night, eating Taco Bell and watching them just destroy. So that was a good time. But
and then August 27th is the DLC when the next DLC is released for Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be big. Like I've
It's
seen
gonna be big. It's gonna be bigger than Dead Man,
Yeah.
for sure.
It looks good. Like some of the screenshots that I've seen, there's like that giant warehouse thing that looks very cool.
Yeah. So within Arizona, you've got the primary campaign. It's about 5 hours long. Right now, there's one DLC pack called Dead Man. It's about an hour.
About an hour, yeah.
No checkpoints in that one, so you have to do a full pull in that one. But it's intense and very different to the primary campaign. And they do have a second DLC pack coming out this summer. You said August 27th.
August 27th. Yeah.
Called The Damned, and all I know is that you're trying to restart a hydroelectric dam, as far as I can tell. I'm pretty excited for that, and they've said it's going to be bigger than Dead Man for sure.
So, we've been singing praises for Arizona. I mean, we have a few issues here and there. Some of it related to learning, some related to the game itself. I don't know if they're avoidable. We can kind of dive into those a little bit. The biggest one that I still have, and we had a couple guys in last week. They were great and they loved it. They actually came back and played again. But it's the getting lost in a wall. So in Arizona,
Or a post.
or post anything that's in that map. And so if you teleport up to a wall or a post, and then you move forward into that, everything goes black, and people freak out. And so basically that comes down to us getting all hands across America with people. And just walking them around until we walk them out of that object, and then we get them to teleport. I mean, that's the biggest one and we've had a few people get out to where you can't find their way back.
That's typically with the double teleport, and that's the other one. And I think we've gotten better with our cues on that so that people don't tend to try to double teleport anymore. But if you teleport with both hands at once, you can end up teleporting into oblivion. You'll be floating off a cliff. You'll be buried in the earth, and there's no walking back from that. It's a game reset at that point. I've actually reached out to the devs about that. I've had a little bit of communication with the devs about some of the glitches that we have. I know that they're aware of them. I know they're working them. That's all I know. I've not gotten any updates on that.
There's only so much they can do. I mean,
Sure.
some of it is like.
I mean, what do you do when somebody walks into an object? That's something that you can set up a clipping boundary in any first-person shooter on any console, and you can keep them out of the object. You can't do that in VR.
Well, VR chat does something, and it's annoying sometimes, but it works to where if you try to move into something, it pushes you back, and it's so annoying because you have to get if you're not paying attention, you'll hit something, and then you're like, I can't go. Now, whether that's reasonable for them, I don't know.
Right. Well, and I lean more toward the way Budget Cuts does it. When you get your head inside a wall or an object or something, you see a ghosted version of the world. You can't interact with anything. It won't allow you to clip through a wall. Like, your game is basically locked until you get back on the side of the boundary that you're supposed to be on. But you can see where that is, so you can see whether you need to. I need to duck under this or walk back out there or whatever. Instead of everything just going black, because that's what I mean. In Arizona, you step into a wall, you step into a post, you step over a box, whatever. Everything goes black. You can see some vague impression of the sun, and that doesn't tell you where you need to go, and that's it. So either a ghosted version of the world or an arrow saying, "Hey, you need to walk back this way." Something to get you back out would be really useful.
I've used the other player. I think I've seen some other people doing that too. Where say, "Do you see them? Which way do they need to go?" And Brandon, what do you have any issues with Arizona? What's something you can call out?
No, I think it would be hard to correct that with the way VR chat does it, as far as clipping in and stuff, just because you have to lean into things so much in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to lean into shelves, into cars, stuff like that. But don't lean too much, otherwise you'll put your head through the wall.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, we had that happen here.
We've had
Yeah, I've noticed that on, I think it was
several.
VRChat too, where I've actually reached for something and it's pushed me back. And
Yeah, I can
may
see that
have been
being a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, that wouldn't work
especially
out.
with where Arizona's set up, that would be an issue.
I mean, they have to be selective with it. Like a desk does not need to clip you out entirely. A cabinet does not. But if you try to walk through a wall, if you try to walk through a box, I mean, I get that. But you've got to do something where the player knows what they did wrong and what they need to do to correct that, instead of they just think their game glitched, basically. Haven't had a lot of that lately.
That was the other night was the first time I've had it in a while.
Yeah.
And this guy was massive. They were awesome. But he was, I mean, I'm short, but he was tall. And so I'm like trying to like guide his feet around the bay. And Topher, you got any call outs? You have any issues recently with it?
Not issues. If your machines can run them, make sure you go into your settings and enable the enhanced GPU settings.
Good call.
I discovered those by mistake, and it really ups the cool factor of the game. Makes the game a lot more intense, a lot more graphic. Heads explode. You can shoot arms and limbs off. Explosions will leave craters in the ground. There's damage if you shoot. There's environmental damage, environmental effects found in like the horde mode, where you can, if you shoot the crate, like wood splinters off, and it's very cool. Definitely ups the immersion levels.
I am glad that they made it so you can't drop guns, but we still have issues with people holstering
guns.
is a big one. So in Arizona, your reload is it's very simple when you talk about it. You drop a clip and you touch your ammo belt. But people there's a panic too. Like it's usually when there's a horde, and when they go down, they squeeze the grip. Just I don't know why. And then they holster, then they come back up to this, and it's like I don't know, and then they die.
Right.
So that's a common occurrence, and that actually happened the other day as well.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed that when I'm doing orientation for people, that if I bring it up, and it tends to help if you explain the reload process as two separate steps, instead of thinking of it as one reload process where you have the step where you reload your belt. So anytime you see ammo, squeeze and hold, move it to your belt and release. Then that reloads your belt, and then if you tell them, then the other side of that is you let your belt reload your weapon. And if you describe it instead of doing it all at once, if you separate it as two separate reload events, I find that people typically tend to panic less doing it that way.
Yeah.
It seems to have more, when you get in that panic mode, they still remember, well, all I need to do about my weapon is tap my belt, instead of trying to remember all of it at once.
Right.
And I've seen a new one as well, and I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. This is new in the last few weeks. When you start a co-op campaign, one person is going to look like they're squatting.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Until they teleport.
Until they teleport,
Yeah.
and they're because I almost pulled everybody out because I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yep.
And then he moved, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I think with the last update, some of the character model stuff, because that's when they pushed an index update, because they were one of the first games to integrate the index controller support for digital control.
Yeah.
And that was when they allowed you to drop weapons again. They turned back on the weapon drop. And I don't even know if you were like that. That kind of happened all at once. Like you realized,
I was like,
weapons. You texted me like, I don't know
why are
what's
people
going on,
dropping
right?
weapons? I don't understand what's happening.
And they put a setting in there to allow weapon release, which would be nice in some cases because that is one fiddly thing that I've found. There's not a really easy way to just shed ammo, and you can't exchange weapons between co-op players.
Right.
So you get into a co-op campaign, and one person has accidentally grabbed a third weapon, and this person still has just their starting gun. You can't say here and transfer a weapon to your co-op partner. And if you mistakenly PRhyme's got the shotgun, and I pick up some shotgun ammo, I can't drop that ammo for him because I don't have a way to shed that ammo if I don't have that weapon.
Right.
So those are a couple little finicky things. But when they did for a while allow you to drop the weapon again, it was just full scale panic. Because I remember that from the early days over at your house. I get bum rushed by a zombie. I try to reload, and suddenly my hands are empty, and it's not in my holster. It's on the ground.
It's on the ground.
So I pick the weapon back up. It's still empty because I never managed to reload it. I was just throwing it at that point.
It's one of those things where, that's for us. We're always trying to find the balance of immersion and playability, and with Onward is probably the best example of being super immersive, but you have to learn it. and once you do, it pays off.
Yeah. It's a
What-
commitment, though.
It is, and
Yeah.
in Arizona, it could be
10
that,
minutes.
but it doesn't make sense, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say it's 10 minutes of acclimation
Mhm.
for Arizona. For most people, it's 10 minutes of acclimation.
Yeah, and it's nice because it kind of bridges that gap. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not a gallery shooter like Zombie Training Simulator, but it's not ultra complex like Onward. Like you do have to manage your ammo, and that does add that layer to it. But it's not as intense. Grab the thing, chamber the round, the thing. It has a process that's a little more accessible.
I will say big props to the devs and their sense of humor of putting med packs in that don't do anything.
Yeah. Your only health is burgers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's every.
How do I use this med pack?
Every time.
Yeah.
How do I do it? I got a med pack.
Yeah.
You find a med pack before you ever find a burger.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's real.
Between that and the throwing mechanics of a grenade,
Yeah.
and how many people have killed themselves in
Yeah.
this. In this place.
That's throwing in VR in every game.
Yeah.
It is kind of again it speaks to the dev's sense of humor that friendly fire is not a thing, but friendly explosions are. I found that out the hard way the first time I played when I blew my brother up accidentally. Like, ooh, I dropped a grenade. That's gonna. Ooh, yep, sure did.
I remember hearing his
Yeah.
reaction across the shop.
Reverberating off the walls. Yeah. Hey, what happened?
Say my first experience was Walker and his wife, and
Yeah.
I think she's over in another bay, and I'm talking to him, and they eventually you have to blow up a wall to get through.
Yep.
And so he's like, "Oh, I got this grenade." I was like, "Yeah, I tell him how to use it," and he does it, and then just to practice, and he throws it, and then we see her
Here comes Kayla.
walking into it, and then that was awesome. But yeah, it was a good time. So yeah, I mean, yeah, every game has issues.
Yeah.
Arizona really has minimal from our standpoint. It's a lot of it is around learning.
The cost benefit is huge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cost does not even begin to touch the benefits of that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and to your point, PRhyme, very much looking forward to the DLC and
absolutely.
see what that brings. Hopefully, it's a good co-op. And I haven't seen if they're doing anything with Horde. I think all I've read is the dam.
Right. I think it's just another campaign expansion. Yeah. Our standalone campaign.
Yeah.
It would be cool to see another Horde level though.
They may
We're due one.
It would be
I
good.
mean,
Even if it was just one like the original encampment.
yeah,
just a small one.
just to
Small
play
one.
on that would be
Just
awesome.
I think it
have
would
that
actually be
opportunity.
good, specifically to have another small one. 'Cause
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the other ones they're more involved, and so you only have that one option
Right.
if you want that just a fast down and dirty.
Yeah, it'd be nice to like be playing some in that deserty environment and then
Yeah.
switch over to maybe like an indoors but still small.
More like a
that.
facility
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without getting into the
Having to find keys and
Yeah.
discovering
that-
new
the
areas.
complexity of Undead Valley, or the fact that
Mine,
it's
yeah.
pitch black
Yeah.
in the old
Pitch
mine.
black is
I mean,
the mine.
the amount of time I've seen people spend trying to find their initial weapon set,
Yep, just to get
and-
started.
and their miner's hat,
Right.
to get a lamp. You know, you'll spend 5 minutes trying to find
Yeah.
those tables.
Oh yeah.
So I tell people, just look for the light. Dude.
Yeah.
Look for the light. You'll find your way. You'll find your hat.
Yeah, and Undead Valley, like I've started to not enjoy it so much, just because, like,
Once you get outside, it's ease.
yeah, once you get out, you just
Yeah.
run around. And it's
You can
endless.
just- yeah, you can
We
just kite
actually
them.
got into the mine too, and once you get to a certain point, it doesn't get any harder.
Right.
You could just go wave after wave forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Whereas I
you were-
totally did not find that the case with the small
Right.
encampment.
No.
No.
Well,
That
because
gets-
you've got the dynamic of
Right.
you've got nighttime, so you didn't have to decide between, hey, am I going to run a flashlight or am I going to run 2 weapons?
Yeah.
2 weapons.
Always two
Honestly,
weapons.
2 weapons and fire by muzzle flash,
Yeah.
because running that flashlight, you're pretty crippled.
And shotgun is so valuable.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Just don't waste it. And don't be surprised if you're another arcade and you start running it. Not everyone will get dark. There's usually one person out who it doesn't get really dark for some reason on their level, so they have a bit of an advantage. I've seen that a few times. But then you start to see, and it's funny. I guess this is because I guess it has to do with the memory. You start to see guns and muzzle flash like stuck in midair. But I think that's just the game.
Yeah, I mean, once you start, it depends on it. Once you've been through like one night, especially if you make it to a second night, you're going to start getting some artifacts
Yep.
because it's been generating that environment for so long.
Right.
Who makes it to the second night? Jeez.
Right.
So that's Arizona Sunshine. Again, we love it. still after 14 months and after I don't know how long the game's been out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like early title.
It's been out at least 5 years probably.
But it's still quality.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah.
we'll still get in. That's if I have someone who's never been in, especially like a
Still a
friend.
go-to, yeah.
I want to bring in and show them. I'd love to get in with people
Yeah.
and walk them through it and you know.
I mean, 14 months in, the only thing that's been on the trending bar the entire time is Job Simulator and Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else has come and gone. I mean, Super Hot spends a lot of time up there. Beat Saber has been there since it was released, but we didn't get it until we've been open for a few months.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Rec Room's up there a lot.
Yeah, Rec Room's up there a lot.
There's been a lot of stuff, like you said, though. A lot of stuff will bounce up. And
Yeah.
You have a flag. A lot of people will come in, and then it'll kind of die off. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Arizona Sunshine's always up
It's
there.
funny to me. We'll get a wave of play over a weekend, and I'll come in on Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's stuff on the trending bar that I had no idea would be up there because it had a group that really latched onto it, and it'll pop back up onto the trending bar. But some stuff flares up there and then never goes back, and some stuff never really bubbles up to that level because it's so niche and specific that just a few people come in and play it, but the ones that do love it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but Arizona has been a fixture on that trending bar, and I don't see it going away, especially with the new DLC coming.
Yeah. And it's hard. We've gotten okay with it, but it is hard to anticipate what is going to be the next big thing. Like we think, oh, this is going to be a hit. We'll test a game. We're like, oh, let's put out a release. This
Yeah.
is going to draw them in.
Yeah.
And then people come in and they just keep playing Arizona. Keep
Yeah.
playing Beat Saber Jobs. And I will say, so between Arizona and Job Simulator, that has been the most falls in the arcade.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to branch off real quick, I know, and you guys mentioned it before.
Yeah.
We've had a head through two. Actually, we've had two heads through the wall, both perfectly fine, and both of them, I guess, got up and
Pop
kept going.
straight back up
Yeah.
and started
Yeah.
shooting stuff.
Neither of them
Nice.
came out of the headset.
Yeah.
They had a
Struggled
task at hand.
Arizona's the one that got me too. That was when I first started coming into the arcade. That was the one that I fell in.
Yeah.
I was on the I forgot the name of the level. The horde where you're inside. I went
Undead
to
Valley?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
grabbed the tried to grab the balcony and railing so that I could shoot underneath it and face planted into the wall instead. It's obviously the balcony's not there.
It seems like there's like a 70% fall rate of people who first time try VR, whereas like 100% attempt to lean rate. And
Yeah,
just not everyone
that's a good
falls.
point.
Yeah.
Like everyone tries to lean on
Yeah.
something, but
Most people catch themselves.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd go as
Not
far
Job
as 70%,
Simulator.
but yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
Job
yeah.
Simulator, you go down like a tree.
Does anybody know? I think we're
We're beyond
We're
40.
beyond
Yeah.
40.
40 plus falls. No broken headsets. No broken
No broken
faces.
bones.
Knock on wood.
But
the worst
man,
one was a kid got the wind knocked out of him.
yeah, that was bad.
And it was the
Everyone-
first time it ever happened to him,
Yeah.
so he was a little scared. But 5 minutes later, he was back in the headset.
Everyone has still gotten back.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we're cursing them when we tell them, "Hey, don't lean."
Yeah.
I brought my niece and nephew, and they both fell in Job Simulator, both of them. One after the other, too. Like one fell, and the other was like, ha ha ha, and then they fell.
I had a girl fall twice yesterday. Didn't learn the lesson the first time.
Yeah. No, it was during the birth. The first one, I think it
Was.
was a tracking issue because she said it was weird. The world went crooked and I lost my balance.
Okay.
And then the
Oh,
second
wow.
one,
Second was definitely
she
trying to
just
lean on
leaned on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still my big rule number 2 is don't lean on anything, and I
Yep.
don't know if I'm doing them any favors or not when I tell them that at this point because it doesn't. It seems like if you're gonna lean, you're gonna lean.
Mm.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, and it's again, it's funny that it's in something like Job Simulator.
Yeah.
Or I mean, Arizona, you can kind of see it's a little more, but Job Simulator, it's so apparent that it's not.
Yeah.
But again, we've all been in for hours upon hours,
Yeah.
and that becomes your reality. And
Right. And that's the thing that I always tell people. That's I find one of the most interesting things about the VR technology is it doesn't matter if it's super realistic graphics or not. Job Simulator has the most falls of any game in the arcade, and it is very obviously a cartoon.
Probably the least realistic.
Yeah, but after a minute, your brain just accepts. Okay, I'm now a cartoon.
Right.
This is my new reality, and that counter starts to look really very sturdy. But I assure you, it is not.
Yeah.
To be fair to Job Simulator, it does have one of the best finishes on all of the surfaces and everything.
Yeah.
It's not pixelated at all. It's done excellent.
That's true.
Yeah, it's cartoony, but it's super polished,
Mm.
and it's exactly what PRhyme's saying. your brain is soft and squishy and easy to fool. And about 15 minutes in, I'm a cartoon. That's definitely about where that point is. For me, it was super hot. I have tried to lean on a table to get up from behind cover in super hot. I flopped over. I think I did that at your house.
Yep.
And in here, it was Crooked Waters.
Oh,
When we were
interesting.
in one of our ship battles, and I was super intense, big flanking maneuver, and I lit one cannon and sprinted to the next one rather than using my controls. I just let it go, and I sprinted directly into the wall, and I'm smashed against the wall trying to light the cannon out there. Yeah.
That, and I think I've told you guys this too. It was one of our battles, and I turned on Pirates of the Caribbean theme
That was
music.
the one. That's when I sprinted
Yeah.
into the wall.
And I turned it on my phone, and I set it down,
That makes sense.
and I was like, oh crap, I need to drop the anchor. And I was like, man, if I go up there, I'm not going to be able to hear my music. And it was like, but that thought process, it was
Yeah.
like at least a 3-second, and I was like, I'm an idiot. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
But actually for me, the two have been, this probably plays because it was early, was Budget Cuts and Hover Junkers.
Okay.
Were the two where I leaned on things. But again, that was early in like my VR
Yeah.
experience, so it's probably expected.
Yeah, I think that was Super Hot was like one of the first couple times I played over at your house years ago, and that was one of my very first times. And that's the only time I've ever really tried to lean on anything. But forgetting myself was kind of a cool thing in
Absolutely.
Crooked Waters. Like just forgetting, hey, I'm in an arcade. And sprinting across my ship, which again is very cartoony. It's not like it's uber realistic, but my
We had
brain
that
is soft
happen
and
in,
squishy and easy to fool.
Smashbox Arcade, man. The kid.
Smashbox Arena, yeah.
Smashbox Arena, we had a
That
kid.
kid was awesome.
Oh man, he went through the tutorial, and he was perfectly fine. He was staying inside the box. He was staying on the carpet in the middle, on where we have our carpets where your mat play space is. He was on it. He was doing fine. And then we got through the entire tutorial.
Go.
And then it's counting down to start the match. And it was 3, 2, 1, go. And on the word go, he turned around so that he was facing where the wall is and just took off at a full sprint, like 3 steps. Bam!
Just crumpled.
Yeah. If he hadn't turned around, he would have just come out of he would have ran himself out of the headset. It probably would have been quite as funny.
His mom about fell off the couch laughing.
Yeah, it was one of the funniest
That was
things I've
great.
ever seen because it was the turn that would made it so funny.
Just pivoted on it. Yeah, just turned on the spot.
Oh, that's great. So we kind of got off track, but that's Arizona. I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of some of the stuff. It was Arizona. Kind of went off, and so the goal is we'll take a game each time and sit down and discuss again what we like, what we don't, what we have issues with. Super Hot will be a big one.
Yeah.
Job Simulator is a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know how Beat Saber's straightforward. We don't really have issues with that, but we'll go through and keep really highlighting so if you're curious from an arcade standpoint, maybe you're an arcade owner and you want to see what we're doing, or maybe from a dev what they want to know, and that from the devs, and I think, and I'll get on a little soapbox here, and maybe you guys can come with me. So Springboard obviously proactively negotiates the commercial licenses. That's how we work. That's the partnership with them. And I don't know if they're reaching out or the devs are reaching out, but there is a lot, and we do have an issue. There's a lot of things that pop up that just don't make sense from an arcade standpoint. Escape rooms would be nice, and like Submerged was awesome, but a lot of other ones, you can't just throw it out there.
The
and
execution's critical.
it is.
Yeah.
You gotta, and from a dev, if again, the people coming into the arcade are not VR savvy. This is their first, in many cases, is their first time, and so they need something they can hop in and go. And so that, or some of the sports things, like, early on we were talking about doing the home run derby because there was, I can't remember, baseball VR or whatever it was, and it was awesome. It was fun, but you have to put down a controller.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work because then someone's going to step on the controller, or if you put it up in the base station or in the charging station, you're going to see your grid the whole time. And it breaks the immersion. There's a lot of little things that it appears they're not taking into consideration when they release it to us.
Yeah.
Which I get it. They're trying to give us as much as possible, which is great. And this shouldn't be complaining, But I think there needs to be more conversation between an arcade owner and a dev if that is their focus. And that's just what we see, because there's a lot of games that we would love to offer, but we can't get people to take the time to learn it.
Yeah.
Like, so Sprint Vector is a prime example. That is one of my
Fantastic
all-time
game.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the tutorials are what, 20 minutes long? I mean,
Yeah.
to really get through the complex tutorials and know how to play the game well. And it's a blast and it's worth it. But when we take someone who's a first-time player and they see that, and it's beautiful, it's incredibly well rendered. Is it Servios that does that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they do great work, but it's the gate to get into that game is so high that I have a lot of people that will start playing the first couple tutorials and they kind of get it, but they kind of realize this is going to take a minute, and they jump out and play something else, and they never see a race.
Yep.
And what it offers is incredible. I mean, it's this incredible, like almost Mario Kart-esque, because you do have the power-ups and the weapons, and it's just done incredibly well. But what it takes to learn how to play that game is so deep that it just doesn't happen in the arcade environment. There are a lot of games. There are some that PRhyme, you and I have really loved, that are the more like long-form narrative, almost like a more interactive movie kind of scenario, that tell gorgeous stories. The soundtrack is beautiful, which is big for me. I know that's big for you.
What was the one with the bear and the eyes?
Oh, yeah, that one was cool.
What's that?
No, I can't remember what it's called either.
Cargo.
Let's see it.
I don't know, yeah, I'm sorry. I could see the thumbnail,
Yeah,
but I
can't remember.
Manifest?
Manifest 99.
Manifest 99.
Yeah.
Manifest 99 was
so cool.
Beautiful. It was deep. It made me feel things and think things, which is not something that a game necessarily does, especially in something that took me, 20 minutes to play through.
Oh, I cried.
But it was very deep. It was very beautiful. It was very philosophical.
Yep.
And it got zero playtime because it's not a game. It wasn't super intuitive. And it just, when you're, and I understand it too from an arcade consumer perspective. Minutes are dollars.
Right.
I mean, you're paying to be on the clock. You're paying to be in a game, and if you don't feel like you're getting your return on that investment, you're not going to spend time in that game. Which is why I think I Expect You to Die is one that toes the line for me, because people will try it out, but they realize, okay, this is a really hard puzzle game. But some people get in it and it absolutely resonates with them, and they come back and they play through again. They will spend the hours to get through. You were talking about escape rooms. That's probably the closest thing we have to a
good
really
escape room.
functional, well-built escape room.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to take some time to play through that game, and a lot of people will hop into it and hop right back out because the time investment's just not worth it. But we do have a few, especially our returning customers and especially members who know what they're paying for. They know what they're going to get out of it, and they will put the time in to learn, and they get that reward. But I absolutely understand it, and that's what you're talking about from the dev perspective. If you want to target an arcade, you have to build something that is polished, that is intuitive, and especially if it's not going to be particularly intuitive, or if it's going to be complex, it has to teach players every time how to play that game, or give them the opportunity to learn every time in a very, very straightforward way. It's something that, like, you look at the difference between Onward and Contractors. They're both modern military sims. I'll even go as far to say Onward and Innovation. They're different games. Onward has a lot more complexity. It has a lot more control of the weapons. But just look at what happens when you come into that game. So you load Evasion, and it asks you which hand you prefer. It asks you how tall you are, and it asks you what kind of locomotion you want to use. And then it puts you into your lobby, where you can then jump straight into the tutorial, or you can jump straight into a multiplayer match. It's very, very straightforward. It does it every time you load the game, and it's the home version. It's not an arcade build. It just does that every time you load the game. And then you load Onward, and if somebody is left-handed, I have to take them through 3 different menus to get into the adjustment for that. Same thing with locomotion. If they want to do something other than smooth motion, which doesn't work well in Onward at all. I mean, the smooth motion does, but if you want to do anything else, it doesn't work well.
Right.
I would say that's a smooth motion game. And then if they want to learn how to actually play the game, they've got a 15-minute tutorial that might get them, what do you say, 40% of the way there?
Yeah,
usually.
at most.
So,
Well, and to your point too, we're an arcade dealing with various age groups.
right.
And so a lot of times kids will get in, and if they can find a menu, so Rec Room is a prime example of that.
Yes.
They get into the menu and they start adjusting things
Yeah.
just because there's a button. So they'll sliding and the next person gets in and they are having a terrible experience.
Rec Room's bad because it's bad and it's good because there's such a huge community of people that play Rec Room all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll have people that get into a public space and they see all these people that are all running around where they're having to teleport, and they'll start asking questions. And people on there are genuinely nice and helpful, and they'll talk them through how to
Get in
change.
the minute, do this.
Yeah. Well, how do I fly? Well, you just turn this setting
Let's
on
reset
here.
all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So they'll adjust all the settings, and suddenly it is busted from an arcade perspective from someone who's never been in VR before, and they put their thumb on the thumb pad, and their avatar just takes off across space or starts flying or whatever, and they get motion sick immediately because they weren't expecting that. So that is something from an arcade perspective too, to be able to lock down controls behind at least like a coded gate,
Right.
You know, from an admin perspective.
That would
do
be-
you want to
that
change
would be
these
great.
controls? Yeah.
Just a simple pin. But
Yeah.
and I get it from a dev, like if they are gonna limit themselves to an arcade, that's a limited resource for revenue.
Sure.
And so I get it. They need to make it for everyone.
Yeah.
But again, have it in mind. So like Arizona, they released the arcade edition of Arizona Sunshine, which some arcades love it. And again, since we've had the people who have been to the arcades and they do the unlimited ammo, and maybe that plays to their demographic or whatever they're going for. Maybe it's a quick in and out. As we are looking for someone who, I mean, we're not looking for someone, but we enjoy those who want to dive into it and have that be like a very immersive experience.
But if they just want to shoot zombies, we offer that.
We do,
Right.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and we're happy to say, hey,
Yeah.
let's do this. Or you just want to shoot something? I still push Space Pirate.
Space Pirate
yeah.
Trainer
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I ever played and absolutely fell in love with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But so that's it's a struggle for us to vet everything, especially
Yes.
now Springboard that you do not use Steam keys. For us to try it, we
Yeah.
got to pay to try it. I get it, but that's fine. It is easy. It is very nice to. Hey, with Dick Wild, we knew that was a winner, and
Yeah.
so install everywhere, go. That was definitely easier than going to Steam and doing that old
Yeah.
rigmarole. But it's a change.
Yeah.
So, well, great. Anything else you guys want to add? I know we were talking about some roller coaster experiences
Oh
earlier.
yeah, that was one thing that kind of something that Torch touched him on is how there's the VR experience. There's so much more than just games, and there really is something for everybody. We had a birthday party a couple months back where the kid whose birthday it was, his grandmother was with him, and she was 89, never played a video game in her life, but was interested in just watching everything that was happening. And somebody had mentioned roller coasters because one of her family members knew that she loved roller coasters when she was a kid, and she hadn't been on a roller coaster in probably 20 years because she has a hard time getting around. And so we just set her in the back bay and plopped her on a chair, and it was amazing. I mean, she had that kid grin on her face for a solid 20 minutes and just riding the same roller coaster over and over again, and just loved it and was totally immersed and totally got that escape. And to me, that's one of the coolest things. Kind of like what you were talking about. It's kind of the coolest thing about VR is that it does have that broad appeal, and there really is something for everybody. Even if you're not a hardcore gamer, or even if you're not a gamer at all. Google Earth is another example. We had someone come in and she'd never been to the Grand Canyon, and she spent, I saw a good chunk, 10 minutes of just wandering around, just in awe, marveling at everything that she could see. And so that's another aspect of it, that it's there, and it's granted most people that come in are gamers and they want to play the games, and there are a lot of, especially being a gamer, there are a lot of amazing games, but that's not all there is, and it's something to always keep in perspective, that you really can reach anybody and everybody with this technology. It's very cool.
Very good. And I think that's something. So, jumping back to, so we're D4. Damon and I started this, back officially in 2017, end of 2017.
November.
And we've gone through, Nick has come and gone, and then Topher was, I guess, officially our second
employee. Yeah.
or PRhyme. And then we got Torch here, but we as collectively try to find something for everyone. Our focus is not just to turn people through from an arcade standpoint, but to get them into VR. We're all passionate about VR. We play it all the time. Actually, I was trying to get a couple of these guys into the Quest last night, but they were too busy playing nerdy board games.
Which we're going to do again tonight. In fact.
Yeah, I figured that was coming. So, but no, it becomes a very much a passion, and we get a thrill from seeing people do things in VR. So, to PRhyme's experience, or when we have, again, I love, especially when we get some more of the some elderly that come in and do like nature treks or something, to where they're just in awe, or even the blue. When you talk about tourists, when they can see that, and it's fantastic. I know everybody gets a thrill out of just seeing the engagement. And I think that's what it's all about.
That's been the crux for me since the day we opened. And that's having been to a couple of other arcades. There are a lot of arcades out there. There are as many ways to be an arcade as there are arcades. And, everybody's got their own culture. Everybody's got their own approach, and that's great. And so that means there's a place for everybody, just like there's a game for everybody. But the thing that I think we really focus on is trying to make sure that everyone finds the experience that's right for them. Right. And that's we have at least one kid a week that comes in looking for a job because they like video games.
Yep.
It's a job with games, but it's a customer service job. It's a people job. It is first and foremost a people job because we are part of the experience. The four of us and those that aren't here with us right now, we are as much a part of the experience as the games are. And it's that interaction and making sure that people find the right game for them, that they're comfortable doing it, that they know what they're getting into, and that they have a good time.
Yep,
and that's what we're about.
And to that point, for those of you watching, if you want to see a focus from some other experiences, some other games from an arcade standpoint, feel free to comment or shoot us an email, info@dimension4vr.com. We try to be super responsive, engaging. Again, we're all about building the VR community and creating again, an experience for everyone. And we're of the thought that this will be the future, like the VR social aspect and the engagement. There's so many possibilities, and we'll probably dive into that at a later date as well. But again, feel free to drop us a note if there's something you want to see. If you're an arcade owner and maybe something's not working, we share everything that we do. We like to be a partner for those trying to make it in the industry and trying to expand virtual reality to different communities. Anything else you guys want to add?
No.
Cheers.
Just about did it.
Yeah. Oh shit! I'm out. I got enough.
I'm dry.
Hey, cheers. It might be backwash, but I'll take it.
Brown.
All right. Thanks for watching.